Hold up, because Harlem just went wild. Today, Jim Jones went full offense and publicly roasted Ma live, and the reactions are absolutely insane. Streets are buzzing, fans are shocked, and social media is lit with memes, reactions, and debates. People are asking, did he really say that? And yes, he did. This isn't just another rap beef. Jim Jones brought the heat with every single line, and Ma completely stunned, speechless, and the crowd went crazy. You could feel the tension, the suspense, and the raw Harlem energy through the whole moment. And trust me, the fallout from this roast is going to ripple through the entire hip-hop community. We're breaking it all down. The savage lines Jim Jones dropped, Harlem's real-time reactions, and the social media chaos that followed. Who's taking sides? Who's calling it disrespect? And who's secretly cheering for Jones? So buckle up, because this isn't just entertainment, this is history in the making. We're diving deep into every angle, every reaction, every moment that made this roast one of the most talked about events in Harlem hip-hop culture. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this is a moment nobody saw coming and why it's going to be replayed on timelines and discussions for weeks. Get ready, because Jim Jones just shook the streets, and you don't want to miss a second of it. The Harlem streets were buzzing with whispers long before Jim Jones even stepped on the stage. Word had spread like wildfire. Something was about to go down. Everyone in the neighborhood knew that whenever Jones appeared in public, drama followed him like a shadow. And tonight was no exception. Fans had gathered, cameras ready, phones out, the air electric with anticipation. The rumor on social media had already ignited the crowd. Jim Jones and Ma were about to collide live. As Jones approached the stage, a noticeable tension rippled through the audience. It wasn't just a simple performance. This was about legacy, reputation, and the street respect that Harlem held sacred. Ma, standing a few feet away, tried to maintain composure, but the subtle smirk on Jones' face betrayed what was coming. Everyone knew he wasn't there just to rap. He was there to roast, to challenge, to dominate. And Harlem loves that raw energy. The first beat dropped, but Jones wasn't rapping. Instead, he walked the stage with measured steps, eyes scanning the crowd, pausing just long enough to let the anticipation build. Then, in a tone that was both casual and piercing, he launched into his opening lines, carefully crafted, layered with shade, humor, and street wisdom. Every line hit like a punch, every word calculated. The crowd reacted immediately, a mix of laughter, gasps, and shouted approval. Phones recorded everything, because no one wanted to miss the moment that was about to become history. Ma's reaction was subtle at first. He tried to keep his cool, but as the bars intensified, the edge in Jones' voice became impossible to ignore. Jones didn't just insult. He dissected Ma's entire career, highlighting missteps, calling out moments fans had debated for years, and doing it all live. Harlem had never witnessed such a public roast of one of its own legends in years. The energy shifted. What started as excitement morphed into tension, with every onlooker feeling the weight of the moment. People in the crowd were whispering, turning to each other mid-verse. Did he really just say that? Some nodded in agreement, others grimaced in disbelief. Social media feeds lit up as fans uploaded clips, reacting in real time, amplifying the chaos. The roar of the crowd was almost deafening, a living testimony to the magnitude of the event. This wasn't just a clash between two rappers, it was a spectacle, a cultural statement, and a reminder of Harlem's dominance in the hip-hop world. Jones continued, moving from Ma's past hits to subtle digs at his personal choices, timing every line for maximum impact. Each jab was precise, the audience hanging on every syllable. It wasn't messy or reckless. It was strategy. Ma, meanwhile, was caught between acknowledging the hits and protecting his dignity. There was no immediate retaliation, only silence and calculation. He knew a response would come, and the city would be watching, dissecting every move. As the roast escalated, the dynamic between performer and subject transformed. The energy was no longer just entertainment. It was a live negotiation of respect. Harlem streets have always had a code, a line between playfulness and disrespect. Jones, walking that line expertly, managed to keep the roast entertaining without crossing into irredeemable insult. Fans cheered, gasped, and sometimes groaned, but everyone remained glued to the stage. The spectacle was magnetic. Meanwhile, cameras captured the crowd reactions. Young fans, old heads, and even local artists watching intensely. The tension was palpable. Social media commentary exploded in real time. Clips of Jones' sharp lines circulated immediately, with fans replaying moments to catch every nuance. Some tagged their favorite rappers, sparking online debates about who truly dominated the roast. Memes began forming even before the verse ended. Harlem was alive, and the streets felt like they were part of a living broadcast, feeding off the drama unfolding in front of them. Jones wasn't finished yet. Moving closer to Mase, he dropped a series of lines that dissected not just the career but the persona. He questioned decisions, subtly mocked style choices, and reminded the crowd why he remained a figure of influence in Harlem. Each word, though directed at Mase, resonated with the audience, a shared understanding of history, struggle, and street credibility. Fans cheered, laughing at some, wincing at others, knowing this was raw. Unfiltered hip-hop culture, Mase finally responded, not with words, but with body language. The slight shift in posture, the tightened jaw, the brief glare, all were indications of someone mentally preparing a counter. The audience picked up on it instantly, whispering excitedly, sensing that the moment was far from over. Harlem had witnessed legends clash before, but there was something uniquely electrifying about this encounter. The live element, the unpredictability. And the history between these two figures made it unforgettable. The beat transitioned, giving Jones a brief pause. He smiled subtly, acknowledging the crowd's roar and the tension still hanging in the air. Even in the pause, the atmosphere was thick. Everyone knew this was a defining moment. Phones were raised, clips continued to circulate, and the word of mouth spread like wildfire. Harlem's streets and social media timelines merged in real time, creating a storm that no one could ignore. Jones concluded the first major segment of the roast with a line that sent shockwaves through the venue. Laughter, groans, and cheers erupted simultaneously. The precision of his delivery, combined with the raw energy of the crowd, set the stage for what promised to be one of the most talked about events in recent Harlem hip-hop history. And as the cameras panned, the audience capturing every reaction, it became clear that this wasn't just a performance, it was a cultural moment, a street-level spectacle, and a defining chapter in the rivalry between two Harlem legends. The energy in the venue hadn't died down. If anything, it had multiplied. Every word Jim Jones had spit at Mase was replayed in fans' minds. And social media was exploding with reaction clips, memes, and fiery debates. Harlem wasn't just watching, it was living this moment, sharing it, analyzing every inflection and pause. The streets were buzzing with speculation. Who had actually won? Was Mase going to fire back? And most importantly, how far would this roast go? Mase finally found his voice, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of launching into a heated retaliation, he took a step back, surveying the crowd and letting the tension simmer. Harlem had always respected calculated moves. Sometimes silence spoke louder than words. But his eyes told a story, scanning Jones like a chess player assessing the next move. The crowd, Mase, on the other hand, played his own game. He remained calm, his demeanor unshaken, but inside the intensity of Jones' roast was registering. He had to pick his moment. One wrong word, one misstep, and the crowd, which thrived on drama, would explode against him. Harlem fans, especially those loyal to either Jones or Mase, were scrutinizing every micro-expression, every shift in body language, every glance exchanged. This wasn't just entertainment. This was a lesson in street-level strategy and reputation management. The roast escalated further when Jones shifted to subtle digs about Mase's past performances and collaborations. These were pointed, detailed, and delivered with a mix of humor and aggression that kept the crowd on edge. Laughter and gasps alternated in rapid succession as the audience processed each line. Even longtime fans who had followed the careers of both rappers were taken aback. The level of detail, the precision of the punches. It was something rarely seen in live rap performances. The tension became almost tangible. Fans leaned forward in their seats, some whispering predictions, others quietly analyzing the exchanges. Harlem had always been a community that thrived on observing and evaluating every interaction between its icons. And tonight was a masterclass in live rap theater. Phones recorded every second, capturing reactions that would later go viral. Clips spread like wildfire, some even making their way to national rap communities, sparking discussions far beyond Harlem. Midway through the performance, Jones paused briefly. The room held its collective breath. It was a calculated pause, a moment that drew attention to the power dynamic on stage. Then he delivered another line, a verbal jab that hit Mase's career trajectory with pinpoint accuracy. The crowd erupted once more, and social media notifications exploded with clips of the line. Memes appeared within minutes, some celebrating Jones' confidence, others critiquing the harshness. But the common thread was undeniable. Harlem had never witnessed a roast this intense in recent memory. Mase finally responded, but in a style that was as strategic as it was subtle. Instead of confronting Jones with aggression, he used clever wordplay and measured acknowledgement to reassert his credibility. The crowd reacted, some cheering, some debating whether he had answered or merely survived the roast. It was a masterclass in restraint, demonstrating that sometimes power isn't about shouting back, but about standing firm and letting the audience interpret your reaction. As the live segment progressed, the surrounding atmosphere became chaotic, yet structured. Fans, media personnel, and local artists were all part of this intricate dance of observation and reaction. Every gesture, every smirk, every nod from Jones or Mase was analyzed, discussed, and shared. Harlem was alive, and the performance was a living, breathing entity shaped by the energy of its people. By the end of this segment, the roast had transformed into more than just a clash between two rappers. It had become a cultural event, a testament to Harlem's influence in hip-hop, and a reminder of why reputation, presence, and strategy matter as much as talent. The lines had been delivered, the reactions captured, and the streets had spoken. The audience, both live and online, was left with a mixture of awe, excitement, and anticipation for what would come next. The impact extended far beyond the venue. Clips circulated across social platforms, and debates flared in comment sections worldwide. Fans dissected every line, replayed every punch, and shared their interpretations, fueling a larger conversation that connected street culture with digital virality. This intersection of live performance and online discourse amplified the drama to levels that no one could ignore. And yet, even as the first major backlash and responses unfolded, one thing was clear: the night was far from over. The tension between Jim Jones and Mase had only intensified, leaving Harlem on the edge of its seat. Fans could sense that the next move, whether verbal, performative, or strategic, would define this chapter of Harlem rap history. Social media was buzzing. Conversations were endless, and every viewer, whether present or watching online, was caught in a web of anticipation. The live event, the audience reactions, and the social media frenzy created a perfect storm. Harlem had witnessed a collision of legends, a moment where respect, history, and street credibility were all tested in real time. Jim Jones' sharp delivery and Mase's calculated restraint set the stage for an unforgettable showdown that would be remembered long after the night ended. The tension in the room reached its peak. Harlem's streets, now virtually connected through social media, were in an uproar. Every clip, every reaction, and every whispered opinion had converged into one massive narrative. Jim Jones versus Mase wasn't just a roast. It was a cultural earthquake. Fans were dissecting lines, hashtags were trending, and the streets themselves seemed to vibrate with the energy of the event. The stakes had escalated beyond entertainment. This was now a statement about influence, legacy, and dominance in Harlem hip-hop. Jones, sensing the peak of anticipation, stepped closer to Maud Dollery, eyes locking with him in a moment of pure intensity. His voice cut through the charged atmosphere, deliberate, confident, and merciless. Each line landed like a calculated strike, pulling cheers, gasps, and occasional groans from the audience. Harlem watched, captivated. Every micro-expression, every glance, every slight smile or frown was analyzed. The stakes were clear. This was a battle of street reputation as much as lyrical skill, and both men understood the weight of what was unfolding. Maud Dollery, now fully engaged, finally responded with a sharp, precise counter. Unlike Jones' explosive style, Mase's response was tactical, carefully chosen to defend his legacy without overcommitting. The crowd's reaction was immediate. Some erupted in applause. Some whispered in disbelief, and others debated quietly amongst themselves. The subtlety of his delivery made fans realize that this wasn't just a reactive moment. It was a strategic maneuver, showcasing that in Harlem, respect is earned as much through restraint as through audacity. The live event had morphed into a chess match. Jones, aggressive and theatrical, controlled the momentum. But Mase's composure provided a counterbalance, keeping the outcome unpredictable. The audience was hanging on every word, every pause, every beat. Phones recorded it all, creating a parallel digital audience that amplified the energy in the room 100-fold. Clips went viral instantly, sparking debates on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Memes and reaction videos proliferated, making the roast a national spectacle beyond the streets of Harlem. As the confrontation reached its climax, Jones delivered one of the most brutal lines of the night, a statement that not only challenged Maud Dollery, but shook the crowd to its core. Fans shouted, laughed, and gasped simultaneously. Harlem had never seen such a live display of sharp wit, raw energy, and calculated aggression in decades. The performance was now a historical moment, a benchmark in live rap events, and a reference point for all future clashes. Maud Dollery, for his part, absorbed the blow without losing control. He let the line hang in the air, giving the audience time to react. Then, with precision, he fired back, subtly undermining Jones while maintaining his dignity. The back and forth escalated, but it was clear that Harlem wasn't just witnessing a feud. They were witnessing a masterclass in performance, strategy, and reputation management. Every audience member, from casual fans to hardcore Harlem heads, felt they were part of something monumental. The aftermath was immediate. Social media erupted with opinions, debates, and breakdowns of the entire encounter. Clips of the roast were dissected frame by frame, lines analyzed, facial expressions commented on, and hashtags flooded timelines. The conversation spread nationwide, drawing in fans from other cities who wanted to. And just when it seemed like the night had reached its conclusion, whispers began circulating about what might happen next. Some hinted at a follow-up event, others speculated about diss tracks, and a few hinted at unseen footage that could emerge. Harlem's audience, both live and digital, knew that while this chapter had closed, the story wasn't finished. The energy was now sustained, waiting for the next ripple in the city's ever-evolving hip-hop drama. As fans slowly dispersed, the streets hummed with excitement. Conversations, debates, and laughter filled every corner. Clips continued to circulate online, trending and retrending, keeping the event alive in public consciousness. Analysts and fans alike began breaking down strategy, lyrical precision, and the cultural significance of every move. It was more than a roast. It was a lesson in legacy, street credibility, and timing. By the end of the night, Harlem had reaffirmed its role as the epicenter of live hip-hop drama. Jones had demonstrated dominance, Maud Dollery had showcased resilience, and the audience had participated in a historic cultural moment. Fans knew this night would be remembered, replayed in clips, discussed in debates, and cited in future encounters. Harlem had witnessed a perfect storm of performance, strategy, and audience engagement. And the world had taken notice. And while the cameras eventually turned off and the crowd dispersed, the ripples of this confrontation were far from over. Fans speculated, social media buzzed, and rumors began circulating about what the next chapter could bring. Harlem had witnessed a night of chaos, brilliance, and unforgettable energy. And one thing was clear: Jim Jones and Mase had created a moment that would be talked about for years to come. Yo, Harlem just witnessed history tonight. But we want to hear from you. Who do you think won this epic showdown, Jim Jones or Mase? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button if you're feeling the drama. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next Harlem street-shaking moment. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.